Hi everyone, welcome to this hangout with Tom Halls, the head of digital of Formula E, one of the most innovative and disruptive sports products of the last few years in the industry. Tom, it is a pleasure to be here with you and to learn with you some of the strategy that you use to really create some buzz with the community that is around this great product that you have that is called Formula E. So welcome, and I would like to ask you to present yourself and what is actually the Formula E.
Well, hi, Marcos. Hi everyone. Thanks for having me. So, as Marcos said very kindly, this is me here, head of digital at Formula E, and my role is to look after everything from website, app, virtual reality, gaming, and our world first FanBoost initiative, as I believe the description of the Hangout describes. So I've been at Formula E for about 6 months now, having joined from the British tennis governing body, the LTA. And Formula E is the world's first single-seater, fully electric racing series. So we are 16 races in now. We're about a year and a half old, just into our second season. We've just come out of the Long Beach race, which preempted the IndyCar race just gone this weekend. And we are then up next in Paris this weekend coming. So, we race in city centres, right in the middle of city centres, not on predefined tracks. So that's a challenge in itself. But we also, because of the nature of our sport, we have 45-minute races, not 3-hour races or 2-hour or 4-hour NASCAR marathons. So we have a slightly different audience type, one that is a bit more time. They're time poor, cash rich. They're savvy. They're technology savvy. So yeah, it's an exciting new challenge for me. Keen to hear people's thoughts and understand a little bit more about what they want to hear about us.
Yeah, and what a challenge you have, because for me, as I was telling you before we start this hangout, this is a very, very fresh product in the market. So to anyone that is watching us, if you have a question for Tom, please post your question on the YouTube's comments section. So maybe we can start then to share the 5 secrets about how to really create that fan engagement with this product. So Tom, over to you. First secret.
I feel like I'm giving away all of our secrets now. So I mean,
it's a nice buzzword, right?
Yeah. I mean, the first one is one that I think 99.9% of sports out there are going to struggle to duplicate. Even if I talk about it, it's not something where a good friend of mine, Sean Callanan, will say you can't steal it with pride. It only works for some sports, and we're one of those lucky ones. So the first one is FanBoost, and hopefully the screen is coming up there so everyone can see that it's FanBoost. So, and you've got our grid girls there on site. So FanBoost is precisely what it says there. It's the world's first digital activation as a direct outcome on the results. So when you talk about football or soccer with the 12th man being the crowd, the 12th man or the fans here really do make a difference. That it's huge in terms of what it does. So the concept is fairly simplistic. The voting, it's a voting mechanism that opens 12 days before each race, and fans can vote either on their website, our app, or they can vote on Twitter as well through hashtag voting. We were one of the first, not just sports organizations, but organizations to actually buy into that, not using Twitter's native voting, but using hashtag voting, because we can look at the sentiment behind the voting as well then. And the concept is simple. So you vote for your favorite driver, and 6 minutes into the race, we cut the vote off and we tally it up. And those top 3 drivers, they get a physical boost in their second car. So all of our drivers have 2 cars because of the battery capacity at the moment. And so they'll find out 6 minutes into the race whether they have FanBoost or not. They can then activate that. It's a button behind the steering wheel in their second car. And that gives them a sustained burst of energy. I was talking to the other day, almost a Mario Kart style, toad mushroom kind of boost. Or nitrous if you play Need for Speed. So it's really gamified the sport and it really does. It splits people's opinions. Whether the traditional motorsports hate it, and the newer, more engaged fan loves it because it's a huge influencer. And for me, it was one of the key reasons why I wanted to join the series. No one else is doing anything like it, and it's kind of been one of those ones where it's driven huge amounts of engagement for us on Twitter, not just the vanity metrics of social impressions, but real engagement with our fans and our drivers. And because we put that metric out there, and it does make a tangible difference to the drivers on race day, you see our drivers are probably more socially engaged with their fan base than almost any other sports organization. They regularly tweet their fans asking for support. They're being proactive with this. So it's been a big game changer. Yeah, it's not been without its challenge. It's quite a complex product to explain at times. So we need to do a much better job of marketing it to the fans. And we've tested a lot from the first 2 seasons, and you'll see further changes in season 3. So yeah, it's been a great starting point for us, and it's kind of that USP that, alongside the all-electric racing, when you tell people about that, that's really kind of what blows their mind.
Yeah, for sure. And I have to tell you that one of the things that I really enjoy as a fan is that anyone can really influence the result of the product itself, the race itself, and that's really amazing. It's something that you don't see often in the sport world.
No, and I mean, if the phrase, the proof is in the pudding, we would say here. If you look at last year's champion, our first ever champion, Nelson Piquet Jr., won FanBoost, I think it was 6 or 7, and maybe even 8 times, and he only finished on the podium 3 times out of 11 races that season. But every time you used FanBoost, we have a fastest lap points award within our series. And last season, you could use FanBoost, so you could gain points by being the fastest using FanBoost. And that, as a key example of a learning there, is we looked at that and said, well, actually, that's a bit of an unfair advantage if you're an incredibly popular driver. So we've said now FanBoost can't be used or can't be validated against the fastest lap. So we've evened the playing field. We've learned from that and moved forward. Like I said, you'll see more changes next year as well. So we're constantly refining that mechanic based on what our fans are telling us.
Yeah, well, that's really, really great. So the second secret.
Again, it's not really a huge secret with this. I think it comes down to how well an organization delivers it. For us, we'd call it short form content. I mean, we have a lot of long form content in terms of our TV broadcast. And the clip that you're seeing there on screen was a clip that we released first thing this morning. And this is of Damien Walters, a Hollywood stunt driver or stunt actor, as you can see there. This was a clip where he's backflipping over not a stationary car, obviously. He's backflipping over a Formula E car that's coming at him about 100, 110 kilometers an hour. And he's blind. He can't see that car coming, so he's timing it down on the beep. And it gives you an idea of, A, just how agile he is, but B, it really does show you quite how quick and dangerous these cars can be in the wrong hand. And I think what we have is we have an approach with short form content, and this is our head of media that set this up, so credit to him. And again, more expertise from around the sports world being brought into our sport, where we almost have a hygiene hub and hero content phasing. So the idea being your hygiene content is your day-to-day, your top 8 videos, your driver engagement videos, interviews that you just seed out to supplement engagement between the races. And then once we get into race week, we have hub content that's building it up further. It's more on site at the races. And then the piece you see there with Damien is hero content. So we might do that 2 or 3 times a season, and we would then look to take that out there. And what you'll see is that's consistent engagement, and that really does help drive peaks, which is key for organizations, not just ourselves, where we have a gap in between July and September, but also gaps for the NFL, for instance, with such a short season that they have. You see them making great use of content. My team for my sins is the San Francisco 49ers, not having the greatest season in the world. I think we can all agree on that. but their TV production, and Robert Alberino and the guys there do a phenomenal job in supplementing the fans' desire for content and really taking that 16-game season and extending it. So we have a very detailed content schedule. The actual mechanism and delivery is quite simple, but it's knowing that what works on what channel at the right time there. So it's not so much a secret now, but there you go. I think it's common sense and good scheduling.
Definitely. Very, very interesting, your insights about this. So, Secret 3.
I have to say, actually, you should all go and watch that video, because I should point out not just that it's not just an incredible clip, and once you see it, it really does put your heart in your mouth. We've actually been, and one of the other pieces, which I don't have as a secret per se, we've been doing a ton of 360 content, and we've been doing that since October 2014. We were doing it before it came onto Facebook, etc. And to see that jump in 360 and visualize it if you've got a Gear VR or just on your phone or tablet, amazing.
Really cool. Really cool. No, that is really cool, and I believe that going forward, I think that one of the topics that we are going to discuss, it's precisely virtual reality. So this is something that you are really digging in, and this is something that is very cool, and everyone is talking about it, about experience sports in a different way, and of course you are taking the lead also on this.
Yeah, I'll that's one we'll talk about in a little bit. I mean, from the next point up there is gaming. So, and again, this is something that not everyone can do. I think we're fortunate, we have a great relationship with the guys at Microsoft and Turn 10. So we're within Forza, and the screen you see there and the legacy name of Senna. We've held a number of exhibition, what we call race-offs. We've held 2 in the UK now, and we'll look to hold more around the globe next year, following the racing schedule. But the concept is our fans can come down and they can race in Forza against 2 of our most popular drivers, or two of our drivers. You get some real rivalries between that. But for us, it's a way to, if you cut our demographic, they bleed motorsports. That's their primary. That's what they love. And after motorsports, you've got technology and gaming. So as a technology-driven motorsports series, we're hitting 2 of those. So we thought, why not go for the 3rd? So we've done a huge piece with Microsoft this season, and not just taken what we're doing within Forza and they're on site, but we've also been able to put together, to my understanding, the first rights holder owned esports championship as well. Nissan and GT Academy have been doing that with PlayStation for the last few years, but as an actual rights holder, as a championship to do that, I think we're the first to that. And the concept is fans can take part. It's live now, actually. If you've got an Xbox and Forza, you can go and set a lap time. You set your fastest lap time in a Formula E car on a Forza track. And then if you're in the top 10 fastest in the world, you will go through to a live stream semi-final. So that gets streamed out Friday night. It gets cut up and put into the TV broadcast on the race on Saturday. So people watching the race will see what we're doing with gaming and vice versa. And then once we've got through that, we have one of those time trials before each of our remaining races. We did one in Long Beach. We'll do one in Paris, Berlin, Moscow, and a lead up to London. And we're then custom building an esports gaming arena in London, in Battersea Park, come July, which will not look dissimilar to what you see there. And we've got 10 of the world's best Formula E Forza drivers coming down to London, flying them in from all over the world to experience that and have their shot at winning a €15,000 prize. So, I mean, it's really an opportunity for us, as I said, to go beyond the traditional motorsports audience. And again, it's a great way of engaging people in between races, because we start a week before the race. We've got FanBoost, we're a whole hive of activity in that week leading up to the race. And it's a great way to create more content.
Yeah, it is very cool the way you approach this product, because you have a 360-degree approach. You use everything that you really have on your hands to really create engagement, and that's very, very, very cool. So Next secret,
Live
fourth one.
streaming, yeah. And I think you make a great point, because we're a new championship, and live streaming speaks to this particularly. We have to do as much as we can and be as transparent as we are with our fan base. A huge part of that is growing the fan base, and then retaining them and converting them from casual viewers into actual fans and advocates of the series, right? So what we've been doing with live streaming, we were the first motorsport globally to live stream races on Facebook. So this was done through a partner that was able to do that before Facebook Live came along last Tuesday. So we saw that last week and went, great, we've been doing that for 4 months. And we'll work very closely with Facebook moving forward. We also use an agency called Telescope, who power all of our voting for FanBoost, to also power American Idol, America's Got Talent, all these kind of pieces. And what we'll do is, they were announced as one of the key partners with Facebook Live, and they'll go ahead and we'll be able to live stream races to those territories where we've carved up digital rights. And we do have a significant amount of digital rights in those territories. And I think it's just being transparent. We don't charge a fee for it. Free Practice 1 is globally available to fans on our app, so you don't need a pay TV subscription, anything like that, and you can watch Free Practice. You can get a taste for it. In the screen you see there, I think it's still there. We've got so you've got the telemetry for each of our drivers. You've got multiple cameras. You've got a live map, and you've got the live leaderboard on the right-hand side there. So we are giving fans as many options as possible. And actually, what you'll see there. So this is our new website that went live 2 weeks ago. That left-hand side menu and the right-hand side menu can be minimized. So your screen is taken up by the main racing and the live map below. So you're almost creating a TV broadcast experience on our digital channels. And it gives us, we've got lots of scope with the broadcast rights deals that we have to leverage these new delivery mechanisms. So we're using Twitter Amplify. We've done a great piece with HPE there, where they're promoting clips in hand with Twitter. We've been doing the Facebook Live piece. We stream on YouTube, on Daily Motion, on Vessel, and we distribute a ton of content out there, and also across our app. So we're fortunate to be in that position where, because we own the rights in so many territories, we can saturate the market and get eyeballs on that, and I think that was reflected. Season 1 we had 190 million views or viewers globally, and we'll surpass 200 million this year, which outside of Formula 1 puts us as the most watched global motorsport. We surpassed NASCAR. Now, admittedly, NASCAR in the States will give us a bit of a kicking there, but globally, we're growing and growing fast, especially in the States and Latin America.
That is really cool. And one of the things that you focus is really the distribution of the sports product itself, because if you do not have distribution, people can't consume the sport, and if you don't have people consuming your sport, your product, you do not have fans, so you do not have audience to consume what you are doing.
That, and we're free to air in a huge percentage of our countries. We very much believe in the ethos that making it as free to view is the best way to grow our fan base. There are a lot of people that will tell you traditional TV is dead or dying. Not for us. It's been growing year on year since we started, and I think you'll only see that. I think digital is a great way to complement in the dark markets where they don't have TV rights deals. For instance, Spain, up until 2 months ago, I think, was a dark market technically. We still own rights within Spain, but it's now on TV there, which is a huge achievement for the Spanish market, who love their motorsports. But we've got great deals with people like Fox Sports in the US, Rai in Italy, Canal Plus in France, Fox Cover Australia as well. So and ITV4 in the UK. And I think when you speak to anyone in the sports business and you tell them how many, I think we're on 63 broadcasters in 123 countries now. We've got truly global reach. I think we're available within 400 million homes globally. Could potentially be watching us. So we've got 200 million of them, 200 million more to go.
Let me ask you a question. Do you think that this is the most difficult challenge that you have when launching a new product? Because this is a very recent product. So do you think that's the big challenge?
Yeah,
Distribution?
I think distribution is key, and I think if you look at what our media team, so Ali Russell, Ali's my boss, and Tim Godfrey, who's our head of media. Ali and Tim travel the world selling these rights to guys and doing a great job of selling the sport in. I think it's easier to do, when you've got the production team that we have on site who have been shooting motorsports for 40 years and really bringing a new angle and new perspective to it. When you enrich that with the 360 technology, again, another world first. We were the first to do a 360 highlights reel. So you've got people like The Verge, TechCrunch, Engadget, Gizmodo. These guys love the story behind the championship, the technical side of it. So it does make it easier, but it's down to great viewing figures and it's great content. It's really engaging racing. I wasn't a motorsports fan before I joined, but it's that perfect kind of 45-minute blast of action where you're going to see some great driving, and the driver lineup is it's comparable to Formula One. We've got ex-Formula One drivers in there. We've got world endurance drivers. We've got rallycross drivers. Really, really high quality.
Yeah, it's a really, really good concept. So, last secret.
So this is probably the newest one to us, and the slide, hopefully, that we're going to throw up there illustrates that quite nicely. So we ran this trial for the first time in Long Beach. And I guess because I've probably tweeted a few rants and ravings about the perception of virtual reality, right? And let's get this clear: virtual reality is not 360-degree video. I've got a couple of good buddies at the Warriors there who will question my logic there, but I think virtual reality is putting you in a virtual reality space. It's not taking, if you see 360 cameras, and we've been doing 360 cameras for a long time, and being able to live stream in that from a car is very different from being able to live stream it from the side of a basketball court. Let's get that clear as well. 200 kilometers an hour is a lot trickier to pick a Wi-Fi signal up off. It's like a moving target. But it's allowing fans to view the championship and go behind the scenes, not just in ways that anyone at trackside can do, but also giving them access to garages, virtual garages, the paddock, the broadcast studios. What do they look like? 99% of our fans can't actually make it to a race, despite the global location we have. Tickets are accessible. They're £20 to £30 or dollars in those territories. They're well priced, and virtual reality is an opportunity for us to take people beyond that. So you've got Jean-Eric Verne and Sam Bird from our DS Virgin Racing team there, trialing it out. Jean-Eric is stood up, but we had some of our drivers there sat down and really getting involved with it. And you'll see us trialing that for the rest of this season. We're working with a great bunch of guys out of San Francisco called Virtually Live. And they are working with HTC, with Oculus, on those products as well. So we're evolving that part of it. And I think there's what's been really interesting there is the potential for sponsorship as well, because it's creation of new digital inventory and new collateral and new ways for fans to engage with a brand and a sponsor. So it's one that I'm really, really keen. I'm a huge advocate of virtual reality. I'm really keen to see where it goes. I've put probably 20, 30 plus hours into an HTC now, so I'd consider myself a veteran in that sense. And it really is. If people haven't had a chance to try it, the Gear VR is a great tool. It's a great product at an entry level price to do it. But if you look at the Rift, you look at the Vive from HTC, this is true, fully immersive virtual reality. Being able to walk around one of our pit garages in virtual reality, it blows your mind compared to what's been traditionally out there in the market. And I think when we go to market with that as a product, I really do think, and we'll be first to market with that as well, I believe. I really do think it's going to open a lot of people's eyes. So it's the underlying theme behind all of these secrets, as it were, is that we're incredibly fortunate as a series that we can be first to market, and we do get it wrong. We've tried some stuff with FanBoost that hasn't worked. Instagram for us doesn't work as a voting tool, never has. So that's one that you'll probably see cut from the end of this season. But we're given the flexibility and the freedom to fail fast and learn from it. And part of that comes from not having a legacy. We're not like an LTA or a Wimbledon or a French Open where they've got 100+ years of history, and it's damaging to the brand. We've got that opportunity. I always said when I left the LTA, I said I would have gone one of two places. One would have been Formula E, the other would have been UFC. And kudos to the guys at UFC for they really pushed the boundaries there. Ditto, my buddies at the NBA, huge fan of what they do on social. I don't think there's anyone better in the world of sport that does social than the NBA. It's exciting to be in an industry that's that innovative. It's aged me significantly. There's probably a lot more grey hairs here than there were 6 months ago, but it's really exciting. And hopefully everyone can have a chance to watch the race and understand what all of these fan engagement techniques lead up to.
Yeah, I think people will watch the races. I'm sure they will do. Just so a question for you: in your opinion, what are the main digital tech trends that you think will impact the business? And how do you see the Robo Race, which is a competition of autonomous self-driving cars?
Sure. So Robo Race was the one that got the big column inches, as it were, and really got people. Kind of like how on earth is that going to work? So Robo Race is next year, or next season rather. So and we're working with the guys at Kinetic, and it's a support series for Formula E. For those of you not aware, it's fully autonomous cars, 180 kilometers an hour. And the way I always explain it to people is, it's essentially giant Scalextrics in a weird way, but Scalextrics cars that can go all over the place. So it's every car, much the same as our cars in the first season. Every car will have the same graphics chip in it. It'll have the same core structure, like if you were going to buy a MacBook or a or a Dell PC. Everyone's the same in that sense. And then it's the algorithm that's layered on top of it, the technology there. So the stars here are not drivers. The stars are the coders and the technologists behind it. So this is where you've got the opportunity for, you look at what Google are doing, what Apple are doing, what Mercedes-Benz have already done. We're taking 10 cars and not just saying, okay, do 30 miles an hour through a San Francisco suburb. We're saying do 150 kilometers an hour on a racetrack, a city racetrack. So it's very exciting. It's there's a huge buzz in the company about it. I think we're all excited to see more of it. It helps that the cars look beautiful. I think is it Daniel Simons, the creator of the Tron car, has put these together. They're hugely ambitious. The guys there, and we're looking forward to working with them. In terms of the trends beyond that, I think you'll see us do a little, quite a bit more with virtual reality. But also exploring and it's becoming more and more apparent now with people moving almost away from traditional websites and using them as content hubs and pushing people more towards channels they don't own. And I got asked a question at a panel this week saying, do you mind that people are on, they're on BuzzFeed and they're on Snapchat and they're on places where you don't own content, and you look at dark social now, how are people going to get after them on WhatsApp and, Facebook Instant Messenger? And I think that's the great thing about sports. We're going to have to really push that. I think if you look at Man City, they were pretty cutting edge. They had a WhatsApp group. They haven't been on the WhatsApp group for a couple of months now, from what I can see. So, there's challenges in managing all of these. So I think you'll see dark social. I think you'll see messaging apps as we move from a younger audience of sports fans they're almost born. And I would never write Snapchat off, but it's those that are communicating in ways that they're not as easy to get to. You can't measure their social profile on Twitter or Facebook because they're not on those channels. I think there was a stat the other day about the percentage of teenage girls that are coming off Facebook now, giving it all up and going onto Snapchat. So but that's what I love about sports. You know, we're having to constantly be creative and innovative in ways of how we engage with our fans. So virtual reality, instant messaging, dark social, and from a car perspective, you know, like I said, you'll see us move to a single car format within the next few seasons, which takes us from 40 cars down to 20. You'll see greater innovation with the battery power, with the energy consumption, and all of this is great, right, for the road cars of tomorrow. You know, because that's our demographic. It's the millennial that are the next generation of electric car buyers. So these are the guys buying the Tesla Model 3, buying the i3, you know, wanting to buy an i8. Who doesn't want an i8? You know, beautiful car. So it's, yeah, I think you'll see those trends kind of continue.
I have to be honest with you. Sometimes I feel like I'm in a science fiction movie, because when I saw RoboRace and when I saw those beautiful words, artificial intelligence, and I say, is this for real now? Are we in 2040 or something like that? No, we are in 2016. So that's amazing. So last question. What advice can you give for someone that is starting a career now in the sports industry?
For me, and I kind of stumbled into sports from a roundabout way. I mean, my background was video gaming with EA, then I went to Coca-Cola. I was in retail brands, and I went over to Head, and then so Head tennis, ski equipment, etc. And from there, I went naturally into tennis. And a huge part of it is these kind of things. You know, it's networking with people. It's understanding what the challenges are. It's just absorbing as much information as you can, because every sport is different. You know, I could go to Major League Baseball and some principles of what I know would apply there, but you need to know the sport inside out as well. So I think being a fan of sports, you've got to be able to. I mean, we're doing this call at 8 o'clock at night. You know, there's a common theme within the sports industry. You don't really get a weekend off. It's slightly different in motorsports. We get a couple of weekends off before the next one. But you know, the guys at the NBA and Major League Baseball that are 160 games a year, you know, you've got to be dedicated to it, and you've got to love it.
7 days a week. Yeah, that's how the sports industry works. Yeah,
precisely, right. You know, 7 days a week, and especially with digital, it's 24 hours. You know, there is no such thing as off time. So when someone says, "Why were you emailing at 3 a.m. on a Sunday morning or whatnot?" you can go, "Well, that's at somewhere in the world they're awake at that point, and chances are it's probably our Chinese race or you know that." But yeah, I think it's having a passion for sport really helps. Understanding what works from a fan perspective works as well. I personally would never go and work for a team that I'm a supporter of, because I think plenty of people do it. But I personally would be too emotionally tied to that team. And you have seen examples of that on social media where you almost have fans running the social accounts. So I think that there is that. But
that's an interesting insight that you have told now. Very interesting insight, because actually some people get emotional when they are running things at clubs that they really love. And sometimes it's very hard, because sports is about passion. Very interesting insight that is all. Yeah,
and it's kind of one of those things. You know, I'm a huge Chelsea fan from a football perspective. You know, as much as I'm a huge fan of the guys there and what they do from everything from a club level to what happens on the pitch. But I'd be too emotionally invested to be objective about working for those guys. You know, I've got friends that work at Arsenal that are Spurs fans, and actually it's the best possible thing, because they're really clear, they're really objective about it, and they know they're still fans of the sport, but they know where the boundaries are. But you know, there are so many organizations out there looking for young, hungry, you know, people that want to work in the sports industry. So to anyone out there that is looking, you know, reach out to those of us that are in the industry. You know, it's the friendliest industry I know. People will always be willing to give you 5 or 10 minutes of their time and give you a bit of advice, review your CV, that kind of stuff. And it's amazing how, you know, just talking to people will really go a long way within the industry. You know, we're all incredibly lucky to work in sports for a living, right? You know, I'm consider myself blessed in that sense. It's stressful, but it's you know, it's you know, you pinch yourself when you're trackside in Uruguay or Beijing or somewhere like that, and you know, we've got the best job in the world. So it's the passion is a big part of it.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. Well, Tom, thanks a lot for this 35 minutes. Thank you a
No
lot
problem.
for being
Thank you
here
for
with
having me.
us and for sharing your expertise. Do you have some final words you want to share with us?
No, thanks for having me. It's been a pleasure chatting, and I hope everyone that's watching has hopefully got something out of it. You can find me on Twitter at TG Halls, or you know, connect with me on LinkedIn. More than happy to answer any questions anyone's got. So yeah, thanks for having me, Marcus.
All right. So thank you guys for watching, and see you soon.
Thanks very much.